Hello and welcome to the Kuribros, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime recap podcast. I'm your host Phoenix. Joining me and my co-host Andy. No bits this time because we're getting deep into the finale of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, Season 5, beginning the final arc, Millennium World.
Phoenix just didn't have a bit ready.
No, that's not what it is. I'm just being serious.
This is a
Don't say
serious
that.
podcast now.
No, don't let him know.
We're a serious podcast now. We were not making any more jokes. I'm sorry if you like jokes in your podcast, but I'm going to be reading in the most monotone voice about the most minor details.
Yes,
of every little bit.
We talked
of
about
the
it, and we've already
2000
planned that when we do GX, it's going to be a purely ASMR podcast. And then Jaden said, "Get your game on."
He said, "That's game," as he did his signature hand sign, which is now a gang sign in the Yu-Gi-Oh! World.
Oh.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Could you imagine there's a gang
Well,
and they're just doing that's gang?
Maybe in a future arc you haven't gotten to, you'll find out that you're right. But you won't know unless you watch this show. So stay tuned for when we talk about
For
when
Jaden
Yu-Gi-Oh!
cults.
deals with gentrification and gang violence. And wait a second, that's just 5Ds.
They tried to say something with that series, probably.
I don't think they gentrify in 5Ds. I think it's just a straight-up class war.
Yeah, well, I think that's a lot of it. No, not really. But it is cool that they do try and address a class war scenario in one of the series.
Well, we also get to address a class war in this series.
Oh yeah, kind of. Yeah, you're right. Quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. So last time we covered up the end of the Kaiba Corp Grand Prix,
Which was awful.
I mean, it wasn't terrible at the end, but comparatively,
Okay, the end did kind of help, but it felt like 2-3 weeks of uselessness.
they're wasting my fucking time, is what they're doing.
Yeah, they really are. But I guess it's all for the sake of the final product, which is what we're going into finally now, which is the final arc of the original series. We're beginning Millennium World.
Yeah,
Or
it's gonna be.
I think it's called
great stuff. Everyone's gonna have a wonderful time.
I think,
nothing bad
it's-
happens to anyone.
Never. It's called Dawn of the Duel, I think, in the English release. I don't know if they call it that in the sub or
I think
whatever.
they gave it like a catchy tagline. I just know it.
I don't
as
think. Yeah, I don't
Millennium
think they
World.
do. Yeah, it's I always thought of it as Millennium World, but that's because I'm more familiar with the manga version of this story than the anime version, and let me tell you, there's some differences. Not necessarily bad differences, just interesting creative choices where it's like, why is this person doing this, or why is this happening to this person now? And yeah, there's some censored stuff, and they flip a lot of stuff around. Like a lot of stuff jumps around, but I guess maybe for the sake of what's the word? Consistency, flow. Maybe it flows better in a TV sense than a manga sense. Who knows? We'll kind of go into it and kind of maybe understand it as we dive more inside this arc. But I'm finally reading manga again.
That's nice. You fucking weeb.
Not in general. That's always been happening, but I haven't done my manga correspondent part of this podcast in I don't know how many months now, but it's been a while. So it was
It's been a while.
I've had to remember to get back into the flow of it and understand how I did it for so many, like a year plus.
Well, the important thing to remember is that you read them from right to left, not left to right. And they even put these helpful reminders on the far left page of the book to say, hey, you're starting from the wrong end, dipshit.
Actually, I don't think they have that in here.
What?
I'm looking at it now. No, they don't have it in this one.
Oh, well. No wonder you're so confused.
Yeah, I was reading the back and it was talking about things that I don't remember seeing in the anime, but, and then they kept talking like they were talking backwards, so it felt like I was watching things back in time, and I don't think that's how that works. I don't think Takahashi's that well thought ahead of a writer, but maybe he was. Anyway.
Anyway,
the bit's over. But it is nice to be kind of going back to the Takahashi story proper and kind of seeing out the conclusion of our journey with the Pharaoh and Yugi.
Yeah, and finally, all those little setups we got throughout the seasons of Bakura just fucking around in the background is gonna do something with it.
They really, I will say, from what I remember, I believe everything pays off pretty well. But, well, I guess we'll see.
Bakura shows up, and I'm immediately just loving watching him. Like, yeah, go and do something fucked up, Bakura. Yeah, be a little bastard.
You know what? He is a little bastard in this, for sure. They work
I think
up the...
he kills 2 people immediately.
Yeah, that's a little bastard if I ever saw one.
It's awesome.
And it's 2 people you might know and love.
2 people who deserve to die.
Truly. Do you think they're dead?
I didn't see him get up.
Do you think they...
I didn't see him get up. We know Bakura's in his end game. He doesn't have to hold back for this. We know he likes to kill people. That's his favorite thing, is to kill jobbers. And who fits the bill more?
Then these 2 little rascals in their own right. Some would call them dirty. Not us, though.
I may have done that in my notes.
I've never called them dirty boys in my life.
You just did it. Got him!
It's good to be back.
Yeah.
For real this time. Because I don't know what the hell happened in the last season and a half.
You know, it really doesn't matter.
In the end of it, it really doesn't. The only thing that actually happened that is actually works with the manga is them going to the museum so Yugi can hold up the Egyptian god cards to the slab. That's what they do in the actual manga. They don't go to Egypt first thing.
That makes a lot more sense, because this is... I think like a tablet is missing when they're in Egypt, because weren't there 3 in the museum?
So the one that he holds it up to is the one with him and Kaiba.
I know, like on the display in the Domino City Museum. I swear there were like 3 tablets, but when they're in Egypt, there's only 2.
I don't know. This is one of the things that I was like, why do they do it this way? There's a few things that like about that I'm like, why do they do it this way? It didn't really need to change. But I don't know. Let's actually get into it before I think we've vamped enough. But we're very excited to talk about this as you can probably tell.
Yep.
So how about you get started and we'll kind of save our discussion throughout, like we normally should.
Well, buckle your seatbelts, everybody, because I'm hitting the gas. Episode 199.
Fuck my seatbelt?
Chapter 279 to 280. This episode opens up, and we see Bakura running through the city at night. A voice tells him that he can't escape his destiny, and that the time is nigh. Bakura makes his way to a church, and a voice calls out to him saying that the Millennium items are all gathered between himself and the Pharaoh. But there's one more item needed that is hidden deep in the Pharaoh's memories. Once they have all 8 of these things, the gate to the afterlife will open. The stained glass windows of the church shatter, and the voice says that once the Pharaoh has access to his memories, the shadow game 3,000 years in the making will begin. We get a flashback now, not to 3,000 years ago, but to 1960, wherein a young Solomon Moto has been brought to the Valley of the Kings in search of the Pharaoh's tomb. Solomon's 2 guides ask him why he's all dripped out for an expedition, as he's in a very fancy suit as opposed to expeditionary gear, and he says that gaming is his purpose in life, and so he is showing respect to his opponent because he views his attempting to navigate the upcoming trials of the tomb as a game between himself and the people who made it. He also says that if he happens to lose this game, he'll change into overalls and retire, and we know how he dresses normally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very accurate to what the manga says. This is actually where the story arc starts proper. There isn't a Bakura intro at the beginning of the manga. So that was kind of a cool thing to add that they did.
Solomon and his guides enter the tomb, where they find the remains of grave robbers who Solomon says lost their game against the tomb. At what seems like a dead end, Solomon finds a hidden message that says trespassers will have their souls judged by the gods. The group find a maze further in, but before Solomon can check to see if there are any traps around, one of the guides accidentally sets one off, sealing the door behind them, causing a wall of spikes to descend and move forward, pushing them into the maze ahead. Solomon does figure out the puzzle to get through it, as there are animated statues with swords that swing at them. Unless you approach them with your left foot facing forward, There's something about like leading as like a show of respect. You would put your left forward because that's the side your heart's on. So presenting your heart to the pharaoh, and that just makes the statues not swing at you.
Yeah, that seems to be like not like a trope, but like something I feel like I see. Like it's like those little hidden hints to stop the statues. I feel like I've seen that in other stories before.
Yeah. Solomon figures this out, instructs the others, but then one of them fucks it up and dies, falling into the abyss.
He gets impaled. Well, is it impaled if he just gets stabbed by by a sword?
I mean, if it goes straight through you, I'm gonna say yes.
Oh, it went straight through him.
Oh yeah, that's stabbing is impaling.
He got stabbed. He's like hanging there. He's like. Bleh.
I think impaling means he's kind of like left on the thing for a bit. So I'm gonna assume the statue isn't like impaled. Peeling him off. So yeah.
Yeah, he's impaled then.
Oofa. F's in the chat.
It's actually pretty like the thing about they say about Takahashi wanting this to be a horror manga at first, like kind of rings true because he's very good at making like horror-esque imagery.
And also really cool monsters.
Well.
Also, speaking of good imagery, can we address the fact that young Solomon Moto is kind of hot?
He's a handsome man.
Dude is a fucking smoke show in the desert for no one but himself in the tomb.
He's probably like boiling in that suit, but you know what?
Oh, absolutely.
He's such a cool motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a cool fedora. Fedoras aren't cool, but his is.
Yeah, it's like Indiana Jones, but a bit more fancy dress.
He's swagged out Las Vegas, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Is Nevada Jones.
That's him.
There he is.
Can we get a Jones for like a bunch more states? I'm Utah Jones.
Oh no.
Ohio Jones, the smallest one.
Pennsylvania Jones. Forget about that's fucking Boston.
It's kind of crazy that we just don't know what our own accent is.
It's like Wooder.
Yeah, Wooder.
It'd be like the crappy thing is like Pennsylvania is like two different societies on one side or the other. It's like there's the east part of it and the west part, and they're two very different things. It's not like you have like one like representation of PA.
You know, personally, I hate that we live in a society.
Okay, Joker.
Nah, man, I'm the woker.
But woke is dead. That's what they tell me.
No, the woke left.
Where'd he go?
No, he didn't say anything.
Whoa.
Yeah. The remaining duo, Solomon and his one guide, progress, and they find a long room, at the end of which is a familiar-looking Millennium-marked box. And we know it as the box that had been holding the puzzle pieces that Yugi then used to hold cards. As Solomon's making his way across the path to it, the guide shoots him in the back.
He does what?
Just pulls out...
He has a gun?
Yeah, just pulls out the Millennium Glock and blasts him once in the back.
No, that's not what he does. He has a slingshot.
What about
dummy.
in the manga?
I thought that was a water gun. No, I'm just
kidding. Scoosh, scoosh. Like, water on the back of my neck.
Oh, he slipped on it. That's what I thought. He slipped on the water. Like what?
Just pulls out a tray of ice cubes, cracks them real quick, and then throws them out under him.
It was so funny because it's so obviously censored. It's just like a terribly drawn hand holding a slingshot. And he just whoosh.
Oh!
Kind of.
Yugi!
Really... Who's that? I don't know.
Intending to leave him to die, the guide tries to make his way across to claim the treasure for himself. But as he makes his way across the platform, a Shadow Game monster comes out of the floor and fucking eats him.
Again, very good horrific imagery.
How'd they censor that one?
Oh no, they kind of just let it happen, or I guess
sure.
he just gets engulfed by it's like engulfed by the shadows. Kind of thing.
Did they have crunching sounds when it did it?
No, but in the manga it did. It goes chomp, smack, gobble.
Yep, that's what it sounds like.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
Me when I have large burger.
Yeah, exactly. I had a really good burger on Friday. It went crazy good.
I can't remember the last time I had a really good burger. I know I've mentioned to you a place that I like to get good burger from has been fucking it up lately, and so I'm kind of burnt on them and never will trust them again until I do.
Such a shame. I'm disappointed for you.
Yeah.
They usually have better, but I know what you're talking about, and I know they usually have better standards than that, so I apologize on behalf of them, even though I have no affiliation with them whatsoever.
Well, maybe someday they'll sponsor us.
I would listen, because I remember when I was in a band and when I was one of the bands I used to be in, we were recording at the one guy's house, and that restaurant was near. It was the first time I ever had it, because this was before it came to our area. And I was like, we kept taking pictures on our Twitter with it and trying to be like, please sponsor us.
And
it didn't work though.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume whoever was running that company's Twitter was like, what the fuck are these losers doing?
They're never gonna do
Quit
anything.
adding us.
And I mean, quit adding us.
Yeah, I'm not the Wendy's
social
Twitter
media
person who responded to every message that one time like 6 years ago and blew up the internet for 3 days.
Maybe we should have done Wendy's. Oh well.
If it was 6 years ago, they would have responded.
Exactly. Well, it was a thing 6 years ago, I think. Yeah, that's how timing works.
Really missed your window.
Oh well.
Anyway, God's eaten by a shadow game monster. As Solomon is losing consciousness, he sees the ancient pharaoh appear before him and offer him his hand, calling him Shimon. When he awakens, he is beside the Millennium Box, and then we move back to the present and see this has all been a flashback being told to Yugi by Grandpa.
This is actually something that Grandpa is actually just reflecting on in the manga. He just kind of is like, I guess he's sweeping. He's just outside the store reflecting on that one memory.
I mean, I feel like that's a pretty prominent memory.
Oh, yeah, it is. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Yes. I remember my old gunshot wound is acting up in the rain.
It's like, I feel it on my shoulder. What do you mean gunshot wound? It's a slingshot. What are you talking about? I think I actually liked it better that Solomon was telling Yugi about this rather than him reflecting. But either or work. It's not like a bad choice either way. But I think appreciated that more because at least he's like talking about it with someone, and it makes a little more sense that way.
Yeah, and also in this, it's Yugi asking Grandpa about like the Pharaoh's tomb and all that, trying to be like as prepared as possible for his upcoming trip to go to that place with the Pharaoh and restore his memories. He's like, well, my grandpa used to go into ancient ruins and all that, and he's alive, so I should probably, get some ideas from him.
What's even more interesting is like they later in the chapter, like the next chapter is like Yugi like thinking about everything that's gonna come and like all the adventure and everything and reflecting on that, and Grandpa Moto just comes in and is like talking about like things we'll be kind of talking about in a second. So it's like, why didn't we just do it that one way?
I guess they fixed it for the anime then.
I guess that's true. Something that's interesting to also realize, or I think realize in the manga, is Grandpa Moto wasn't aware of the Pharaoh's presence, or at least we weren't. Yugi didn't believe so, because he said something about the other him, and Grandpa is confused, like, the other you, what?
Is that one of those new pronouns? Neo pronouns?
I'm trying to be woke.
The woke left, Yugi.
Are you they, them?
First the woke left, now the Pharaoh left.
I don't know where it went.
It's not going to be anyone left.
They're all going to be right.
Oh, that's...
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
We're
right.
terribly detracting during this. It's now like a full page of notes with like 8 different tangents. I'm going to try and lock in here for this last bit. We see another flashback scene of Yugi talking to the Pharaoh, recapping how Yugi's life has improved since he had met the Pharaoh. And Yugi says that he thinks the Pharaoh's been putting off restoring his memories because he's worried about what Yugi will be like on his own. And he tells him not to worry about it because he has all these friends around him now and more confidence and such. In the present, under the backdrop of a stormy night, Rex and Weevil break into Yugi's house and steal his duffel bag, holding the god cards and Millennium items. They're just on his roof with a rock, and they just break the window and grab it and dash.
What's even more amazing is Yugi doesn't have that a little more secure than on his desk in a bag.
We know that historically, Yugi's really bad at having stuff secured the first time.
That's a pretty big character flaw that I think never gets addressed.
Nah.
Also, I will say they were getting ready to fly to Egypt, so maybe he was packing it up.
Yeah.
So I
he was,
guess that makes
gonna
sense.
be going out tomorrow morning.
I mean, I would put it in some sort of locked suitcase, but
I mean, a suitcase is pretty big and Yugi's pretty small. I mean, I don't know if he could actually carry a suitcase. That's why he's just got the duffel. I said no tangents. We're locking in. After running off into the night, the Dirty Boys open the bag, not knowing what Millennium items are. The Millennium Ring floats out of the bag and into the hands of Yami Bakura. The Dirty Boys then get got for the final time of the show, being hit by a Millennium Blast from him, and Yugi arrives just in time to see the aftermath of murder.
it's actually not Rex or Weevil in the manga. It's just some random guy. I guess he was just wanted to break in. But honestly, I like Rex and Weevil dying more.
Yeah, who doesn't?
They are some dirty boys.
The Dirtiest. Episode 200, chapters 280 to 281, opens up on
But
a
it's like
scene
all
of
filler.
double homicide, one of Yami Bakura's favorite things. He taunts Yugi for being careless with the god cards. Yami Bakura, henceforth referred to as just Bakura to save on word count, throws the duffel back to Yugi, who checks and sees that only the ring is missing, with Bakura having taken it for himself. Bakura says it will be the prize for restoring the pharaoh's memories. He explains that the stone tablet of memory is a door to the afterlife, but keeps to himself that his real goal is on the other side. Pharaoh takes over and yells at Bakura to cut the shit and explain himself, but he plays it coy and says maybe the answers are in the lost memories. Bakura says they should finish this in the world of the pharaoh's memories with the ultimate shadow game. Pharaoh accepts and Bakura leaves, off to do more nefarious shit.
Literally.
We see Kaiba working late at the office when Bakura shows up on a screen, threatening that he's kidnapped Mokuba, god damn it, not again, and wants Kaiba to experience a shadow game about it, and challenges him to a duel. Kaiba goes up to the roof where Bakura is waiting for him. They begin their duel immediately, with shadow game fog appearing, but it's not really relevant. Bakura, going first, plays Polymerization, fusing Headless Knight and Earl of Demise into the Duke of Demise, and passing his turn. On Kaiba's turn, he summons Vorse Raider, and uses Shrink to weaken the Duke of Demise before attacking. Duke of Demise can't be destroyed by battle, but Bakura still takes 900 damage. At the start of Bakura's turn, he takes another 500 damage due to the Duke's effect, so he is at 2600. Bakura tributes the Duke for Diabound Kernel, and equips it with Spirit Illusion, which makes a token copy of the Diabound. Bakura attacks with the copy, which instead of doing normal battle, weakens Vorse Rider by its attack points, so it's kind of like Rocket Warrior. He then attacks with the real Diabound, destroying Vorse Raider and putting Kaiba to 2300 life points, before setting a card and passing his turn. On Kaiba's turn, he summons the Lord of D and activates Flute of Summoning Dragon, putting Blue Eyes White Dragon onto the field. This triggers some kind of flashback in Kaiba as the priest Seto he sees holding an unconscious woman in front of a stone tablet of the Blue Eyes. White woman jump scare. Number 1.
There'll be plenty of those.
Yeah, we'll keep a tally. Kaiba is confused on account of magic not being real, and he remembers a similar experience he had when Obelisk and Slifer clashed in the Battle City Finals. Kaiba comes out of his thinking about stuff that's not real, and attacks with his blue eyes, but Bakura activates Spirit Shield, which protects his monster and his life points as long as he banishes a fiend from his graveyard. Kaiba sets a card and passes. Bakura activates Pot of Greed, then plays Grief Tablet, which seals the Lord of D's effect. Bakura then does the Diabound thing again, using the copy to weaken Blue Eyes before attacking with the real one, but Kaiba uses Attack Guidance Armor to change the target to the sealed Lord of D. Kaiba goes down to 1100 life points. Bakura sets 2 cards and passes. Kaiba plays Card of Demise, drawing a bunch of cards, then plays Soul Release to banish all the monsters from Bakura's graveyard, so his Spirit Shield is useless. Kaiba then plays Silent Doom, reviving Vorse Raider, then tributes it and his weakened Blue Eyes to summon a new one, which he uses to attack and destroy Diabound Kernel. Bakura activates his set Mirror Tablet and Rebirth Tablet, which bring back Diabound, then adds half of Blue Eyes' power to Diabound, giving it 3300 attack, and has it attack Blue Eyes while still on Kaiba's turn. Kaiba goes down to 900 life points. But it is still his turn, so he plays... No, it should have been 800. I think they counted wrong. Or I did. Not important. It's still Kaiba's turn, though, as he plays Monster Reborn to bring back Blue Eyes. Bakura thinks to himself that Diabound Kernel's true power is to absorb the abilities of whatever it destroys. But before we can dwell on that ominous statement, the sun begins to crest the horizon, and Bakura decides to dip. Kaiba's pissed about it ending like this, but Bakura gives him the Millennium Eye as a consolation prize, and says some more ominous stuff about the ultimate shadow game and Kaiba's connection to Blue Eyes. Diabound makes a big light to blind Kaiba, and Bakura aways into the early morning. We cut to Yugi in the airport on his way to Egypt when the Friendship Squad show up saying that they're coming too. I'm sure hope they don't all get roped into some ancient shadow game bullshit.
Okay, so just before we move on, I want to say, I said this at the beginning, but a lot of this is filler because Kaiba actually isn't in this arc at all in the manga. Like, period. They do a lot of like trying to keep him connected to the story, which I'm fine with because he is a main character technically. I would think like he's one of the more main protagonists. But in the manga, Yugi gets the Millennium Eye as Bakura gives it to him. One as a kind of a trade for the Millennium Ring, and two to show, quote unquote, swear his loyalty to the Pharaoh and kind of convince him that like, hey, we have the same goal in mind of getting the Pharaoh's memories back, which Yugi is obviously skeptical of. And then other thing is, they don't go to Egypt to do what they're about to do. They just go to the Domino City Museum. But a lot of that stuff is really messed around with in a way, which we'll see as we move on.
And so move on we shall to episode 201, covering chapters 281 to 284. This episode opens up as the squad arrive in Egypt. Taya buys something from the gift shop, and the group are met by the Ishtar trio, who have come to take them all to the tablet. They do that, but the Ishtars themselves do not enter the resting place, having completed their family's 3,000-year task. We see Bakura creeping on them from the cliffs. How the fuck did you get here?
You really want to ask that question to the guy who just appears in places?
I'm kind of hoping he was just clinging on to the wing of the plane like a gremlin.
Right. But the thing is, Bakura comes with the gang to the museum. Because the thing is, the manga makes more of a point to have Bakura with the group than the anime seems to want to. Which I kind of get, but also I think it kind of misses out on like that. Like they don't have much of a dynamic, but they have enough of a dynamic where I feel like he should be. I feel like he's more a part of the group than Tristan is.
Well,
Personally.
We also don't like Tristan, so
I know I have a bias, but like Bakura adds more. And there is more of a nuance because he is the bad guy, or he is harboring the big bad guy.
Now that everyone is before the tablet, Taya presents the Pharaoh with what she got at the gift shop, which is a cartouche, which is a small little pendant that can have a name written on it, but it's currently blank. And she says that once the Pharaoh learns his true name, he should write that shit down so we don't forget and have to go through this again.
Could you imagine?
Nah.
That's what the spin-off series actually becomes, is just him like, oh, fuck, I lost the necklace. Gotta do it again.
Pharaoh presents the god cards to the tablet, and his spirit leaves Yugi's body and enters it. The piece of Bakura that was hiding in the Millennium Puzzle, remember that, goes with him, which then pulls the rest of the evil Bakura out of good Bakura too. This would be great news for Bakura, finally being free of the evil spirit, except he was descending the stairs at the time, and so he falls face first down onto them. Poor bastard. Yugi can no longer feel the Pharaoh in his soul, or the puzzle, but before he can feel too bad about this, Shadi appears to explain that the Pharaoh has gone to the world of his memories. In the world of his memories, the Pharaoh finds himself in the midst of his coronation as Pharaoh. He sees the familiar faces of Kaiba and Ishizu, and members of the royal priests, and the advisor looks like Grandpa Moto, but is referred to as Shimon by Priest Seto, which Shimon was what Grandpa remembered being called by the spirit of the ancient Pharaoh in the tomb. Aha.
Aha.
Each member of the priests holds a millennium item, with, of course, Pharaoh naturally having the puzzle, so 6 priests. Out in the desert, we see a man being dragged in chains towards the capital, when Bakura's soul enters the body of this man, and we learn that this is who Bakura was 3,000 years ago. He is then freed from his chains by some spooky guys on horses, and explains for the audience's sake that he is but a mere bandit, and he feels like he doesn't like the class disparity between himself and the Pharaoh. Based.
Class warfare?
Yo. Has anyone tried this yet? Oh. Back at the Pharaoh's celebration, an assassination attempt is thwarted by Priest Ishizu when she sees it in advance with the help of her Millennium Necklace, and her warning the priest who is named Mahad, who is seen as being the wielder of the Millennium Ring. The assassin is then brought before the Pharaoh, and we learn the name of the holder of the Millennium Key is Shada, the holder of the eye is Akhenaten. I say holder, but it is in his eye socket. He is not just holding it.
His skull is literally holding it.
Yeah, it is as held as it could possibly be. The priests decide to hold a public trial to judge the assassin with the Millennium items. Shada uses the key to reveal the man's heart. Akhenaten uses the eye to identify the monster dwelling within. Shimon says that this darkness has manifested as an evil Ka, as it is that powerful. Priest Seto uses the rod to seal the Ka into a stone tablet, turning into a dual monster tablet that we had seen in previous Egyptian flashbacks. Back in the present, Shadi explains that the pharaoh will learn how his soul became sealed through reliving his memories. Shadi is also revealed as a ghost and says that Yami Bakura destroyed his body, and also he explains that Yami Bakura got into the memory world too. The squad want to help the pharaoh / stop Yami Bakura, and Shadi says they can if they navigate the maze of the Millennium Puzzle. In the memory world, we see Bakura has raided a tomb of some kind to get himself some ancient drip, and he says he's going to take the sarcophagus there to see the pharaoh. Back in the palace, post-millennium iteming, the assassin is taken away, and they say his soul has been purged of evil. Mahad apologizes to the pharaoh for letting the assassin get as far as they did, and says the Millennium Ring has been behaving crazy lately. Pharaoh's confused because, let's be honest, he's getting a lot of information really quickly.
So are we.
Shimon thinks the pharaoh is stressed, and says that he's taken the lead on building the pharaoh's tomb, because thinking about where you'll be buried is sure to calm him down. Akhenaten says they should resume the celebration, but Isis, who is the priest who looks like a Shizu, says she sees a disturbing future. She sees an evil shadow approaching the palace, and we cut to a dramatic shot of Bakura overlooking the city. And that's where the episode ends.
They do take some pretty different liberties here as well, which I kind of can get because I guess they want the familiar faces, but so basically as the gang, which is including Bakura, go to the Domino City Museum, they are not met by Merrick or any of or Shizu, any of them. They're actually met with a man named Bobasa, who is a part of Shadi's clan of Tomb Guardians. His duty is to protect the Millennium items, and it is revealed like he has them literally in his imprinted in his skin. Like there's dents in his body that have the holes shaped for each one of the puzzles. That he has the Millennium Balance or the scale, Millennium Scale, and the Millennium Key. Also, like I said, Shadi doesn't appear. I think Tristan said something that felt a little racist in the dub because he calls him gets you in your bathrobe attire out of here, and I feel like there's a little bit of a racist undertone. Other things that happened were
Hey man,
Yami
Tristan,
doesn't.
you can't be talking like that.
It felt a little out of date. Yami doesn't appear at his coronation. It didn't seem like the first day he's become pharaoh. He does kind of appear when they're having trial court, Millennium Court, for the prisoner that they do take. Another thing is Bakura's mind doesn't, at least as far as we know, they don't show Bakura's mind going back. Bakura's mind's actually still with Bakura. So if it is anyone, it probably is the one in the. Actually, no, it isn't, because I just had that. I remember I had that revealed to me that he's still in the puzzle as well. So that doesn't happen. He's not shown as a prisoner, and he also doesn't have an evil Bakura cult of the past to help him either. They just kind of show him as who he is in the past. They reveal him soon. But I'll be talking about that, I think, more. Either way, it's they take some interesting liberties, but I wish they kind of kept the Bobasa character. I think he's a cool character design. I don't know if anyone else would agree, or maybe they feel something about how the design is, but I think it works just fine. I could be wrong though. I could be insensitive. But I'll finish off these last two episodes so Phoenix gets a break. So I'll start with episode 202, which covers chapters 284 and 289. This was a lot. We open on Bakura's band of baddies setting fire throughout the village via fire arrows. Many of the Pharaoh's guards try to stop the charge, only to have Bakura jump over them and have his baddies handle the guards. Mahad's Millennium Ring senses the presence of pure evil as Bakura walks into the throne room. I don't believe the Bakura in the manga is the same one as the one whose conscience entered the past, but I'll try to keep that in mind as I read on. We cut Back to the Future, where Shadi, Babasa in the manga, proposes that Yugi goes into Yami's soul to search for the true door of the labyrinth that was established like way back in season 1. The gang get ready to go when Yugi objects as he should go this alone, not to risk anyone's safety anymore. This turns into a "we friends, we stick together" classic series moment that we all know and love. They all join hands, and Shadi uses the key to send them in the Millennium Puzzle. A little tidbit that's excluded from the anime. As I mentioned before, Good Bakura comes with the gang when Yugi or Yami gets sent back. Before Babasa uses the Millennium Key to send them into the puzzle, he uses the Millennium Scale to judge if there is any shadow in their hearts, and obviously Bakura fails because he was cursed with the Millennium item that had the big bad in it. Bakura goes off upset that he can't be with his friends, and everyone tries to object, but Babasa won't budge on it. I think it's kind of a nice little tidbit to remind us that Bakura was always intended to be a part of the gang and has been shafted for obvious reasons. And it kind of brings up the old scars of him having like the Millennium Ring, like causing him to always be alone because every time he tried to make friends, his evil half would like kill them, basically. So like it's a kind of cool callback to that and that loneliness and that isolation that he feels. So I'd be interested to see how that kind of plays on later. In the manga, at least. Anyway, we're in the past again as Bad Bakura is boasting around the throne room. He demands the Millennium items in exchange for the treasures and later revealed corpse of the previous pharaoh, which he was grave robbed by Bakura. In the anime, Bakura at least has the decency to bring the corpse in his sarcophagus, where in the manga, he literally is dragging the corpse of Yami's dead father by a noose.
Well,
like in the Mummy.
Probably a lot later that way.
Well, for sure, but it's definitely not 4Kids approved. Gross. Pharaoh has had enough of the King of Thieves bullshit and says he needs to be punished. They start a Millennium trial, and all the priests start feeling an immeasurable evil coming from this depraved madman. Shada uses the Millennium Key to reveal the monster within, but he is taken aback by what was revealed. He said it's the most powerful beast he has ever witnessed. They can't believe what they are hearing as Bakura starts cackling and reveals the monster within, who he calls the Great Diabound, which we saw earlier in the filler. We wonder if that has a callback at this point. In the manga, he reveals it to be a god, which shocks Siamon. Seto does not believe it's all that powerful as he sends the monster into the slab, believing he sealed the beast. In the dub, I don't know if they do this in the sub, but Bakura uses the good Bakura voice as a joke to make them believe it's all over, which was funny for the bit. Diabound breaks through the tablet, and our new but familiar class of characters decide their next move against this powerful beast. We cut to Joey waking up all the gang as they are now in the Millennium Puzzle. They are now tasked with finding the true door for the Pharaoh Soul, and it is the only way to get out of here. At least in the manga, I don't think they say it in the dub. We cut then to anime-only Kaiba as he is informed about the Geek Squad flying to Egypt as he gazes upon his recently acquired Millennium Eye. He believes Bakura must have gotten to Yugi as well, because obviously Bakura told Kaiba that he should go to Egypt as well. We go back to the battle of the priest versus Bakura. They reveal they're not dual discs, which can summon monsters that have been sealed away into stone tablets. They are stored in tablet sanctuaries and called upon with these ancient dual discs. They're called like Diagons or something. Or some, I can't remember. I don't know
think
how
it
they
was
said
Diadonk.
Diadong, something like
Diadonk.
that.
I'll double check while you keep reading.
They use tablets in the manga, but they keep the cool merchandising gimmick in the anime. I don't think they ever released one though, so boo on them. Anyway, Gnadin tells the group that they need to band together to face this evil, but Priest Seto lives up to the Seto ancestry as he says he's more than enough to face this evil. Seto calls upon Garrus Goras, and they begin one of the first Shadow games ever played. Seto tries to attack, but Bakura summons another creature to block the attack and destroy Seto's monster.
It is Diadonk.
Diadonk. Oh, I think I tried to spell. Hopefully I didn't spell. I don't think I spelled it right though. I did try to say it in these my notes. They demand to know how he did that without a Diadonk. This does not happen in the manga. He just uses a special ability of Diabounce to basically destroy the tablet the monster was within, the one that Kaiba or Seto was using. I have to make sure I have to specify that's Seto and not Kaiba.
Yeah, Priest Seto.
Yeah, Priest Seto, which is something I do say also. Anime Bakura explains that he found his own special duel disc in the tomb of the former pharaoh and used his sacred monsters that were used to safeguard his tomb. Bakura calls the former pharaoh a tyrant who destroyed his village when he fashioned the Millennium items to receive more power. The priests deny this as they say he brought peace and prosperity to his kingdom and made the items to ensure that peace. Priest Seto says they were chosen for those items to protect the world from evil like Bakura. Bakura disagrees, as he says the items react to inner darkness of the holders and concludes that they are all evil by that logic. He says the secret lies within the village of Kal Elna. Hopefully I said that right. And it seems the Akhenaten knows what he is talking about and urges Seto to destroy this thief. So maybe they're not so good after all. The priest summons their next monster in battle. Mahad uses Illusion Magician to destroy Bakura's second monster. Bakura uses Diabound to best all the monsters, but Mahad urges to attack again, but Seto says they need to work together. Mystic Horseman is summoned by Seto, and they have Priest Karim, or Karim, I don't know how, Karim, uses the Millennium Scale to fuse Mystic Horseman and Battle Ox to summon Rabid Horseman. So this is the first time they use fusion in the Shadow game, which is kind of cool. Seto has his new monster attack, and they seem to be at a stalemate. Mahad is called upon to use his magician monster's ability, and it seems to summon a spellbinding circle, but it gets thwarted along with all their monsters. Yami has had enough as he arises from his throne, ready to battle. He asks if this is the ultimate Shadow game Bakura spoke of, and that he's trampling on his ancestors to do so. Bakura responds that by kicking Pharaoh's father's sarcophagus towards him, saying Yami should find out the truth about his lineage. Siamon says all that Bakura says about Yami's father are lies and he mustn't believe Bakura. As Yami gazes upon his father's tomb, he hears his father's words, justice lies within the Egyptian gods, which takes Yami aback. Bakura demands that they get on with the Shadow game as he calls forth another attack from Diabound. Yami says not so fast, as Yami reminds Bakura he can call forth the 3 Egyptian god monsters. The priests are surprised to hear this, as Sayamon explains the chosen pharaoh will be able to summon them by knowing their names, which means Yami is their chosen king.
Oh, sure, he knows the gods' names, but not his own.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking give your priorities straight. Yami, and there was the voiceover his father summon Obelisk the Tormentor, which absolutely shocks Bakura, but he won't back down as he uses the power of Blue Eyes to fight back against Obelisk. This triggers Seto Kaiba of the present, as Blue Eyes was mentioned, and we see a girl with silverish hair looking overlooking the palace from a cliff as the episode ends.
White woman jump
Holy
scare.
fuck,
Number
that
2.
was a lot. Something I will also mention is they kind of missed a really cool like aura moment for Yami, because while like Bakura is kicking ass against like all the priests and everything, and he's feeling like really feeling himself here, when Yami is kind of like had enough, he walks by the like battle that's happening with the priests, and like no one notices, and while Bakura's like freaking like kind of like going like ha ha ha, I have the power or whatever, Yami goes move and pushes Bakura out of the way so he can get his father's corpse and take it back with him. So he doesn't fucking kick him at all. And then he turns back to them, he says, stay right there, I'm going to destroy you, which was actually kind of fucking sick. And I'm really sad that they left that moment out, because it was so much cooler. I get like he can't carry a sarcophagus, but I'm sure they could have made that work. Something that was really cool that they kind of didn't really do. And then that's when he does the whole like Diabound whatever. And then like there's like a bunch of stuff about like Yami wanting to know the truth about like the Millennium items, and like, oh, like all the people who have had the Millennium items have been like had this real darkness inside them, like Merrick and Pegasus and Bakura. And then they kind of I think the one thing they don't really talk about too is the like magic gauge, or like their energy gauge. Do they talk about that in the sub?
They mention it more in the next episode.
Okay, because they don't really mention it at all. They kind of like allude to something of it, but like the manga really kind of makes it like a visual, like they got like an energy bar kind of thing, and if they runs out, they're gonna die.
Yeah, they talked about their ba.
Either way, moving on to the final episode of the episode tonight.
Final episode of the episode.
Episode 203. Which is, I guess, correct English, but also stupid. Which covers chapters 289 to 292, kind of. They, like, jump around with this one really badly. Not in a bad way, but you know what I mean. We cut back to the beam clash that we left off on, as both duelists are in shock of what is happening, saying their power is equal. In the manga, Yami handles Bakura somewhat easily, but Diabound still survives, even though Obelisk's attack took a lot out of him. So in the end, they retreat all the same. In the anime, Bakura says to Mahad to not get too acquainted to his necklace, or I guess ring, more than anything, because it's not really a necklace, as he has a special attachment to it, as it is destined for him, along with the rest of the Millennium items as he makes his exit. He does a little more of like a mystical, like, I'm going through the walls, instead of like horse riding parkour
And now
out of the
I run
palace.
away. No one chase me.
Literally. So it's like a little weird, but they both work the same. Yami comments on the strange object in the sky that looks like an upside down pyramid, but no one else can see it but him. The priests express their gratitude for the pharaoh helping stop Bakura's onslaught, and the pharaoh comments if President Kaiba could see his past self fighting beside his greatest rival, I think he would have like he kind of looks like he'd be flipping himself out right now. Speaking of which, we cut to anime-only Kaiba gazing upon his precious Blue Eyes White Dragon card as he's convincing himself that it's just a card game and not some magical prophecy. Kaiba refuses to fly to Egypt, but he starts seeing things in the eye and sees a vision of his past self interacting with Pharaoh Yami. So Kaiba decides to go to Egypt to prove to everyone personally that this is all some sort of trick. Yeah, Kaiba. Sure. We are back in the Millennium World as Akhenaten asks Seto if there's any word on the whereabouts of Bakura, but there is no luck. They marvel at Bakura's strength as he was able to face an Egyptian god card, which sparks a thought for Seto. He wonders if there are people just as powerful and dark as Bakura, and he kind of concludes that there probably are. Akhenaten theorizes that Bakura must have escaped from the previously mentioned village, and that he would harbor a lot of hatred for what happened. So something bad really must have happened in this village that they're not saying to us. Seto suggests that they arrest more of those criminals and extract their powerful monsters. Akhenaten rejects that idea as immoral and dangerous, but Seto responds with the suggestion that it would reduce crime and strengthen their power to help protect the people of Egypt, as was the oath that they swore. In the manga, he also alludes to creating a monster stronger than the gods. We cut to the other priests while Isis tries to see the future with her Millennium Necklace to no avail. Her visions of the future have been clouded ever since Bakura arrived, as if covered by a blanket of shadows. This is where I noticed Karim was voiced by Sean Schemmel, famous for voicing Goku in most Dragon Ball English dubs. Maybe a little too dedicated, but still good all the same. They reflect on how much the battle took out of them, but Isis believes her necklace could help them in the battle ahead, so she cannot afford the luxury of rest. Pharaoh takes time to himself to process what is about to unfold and also kind of like reflect on everything he's kind of just been through today. It's been a long day. And how it affects the future, and then thinks of his friends from the present day and vows to do what he can to protect their future. I assume the sub might be more of him pondering his name like in the manga, because he's kind of like looks at them, he like looks up at the sky, sees his visions of his friends, and then he's like, what is my name? I don't know if that's the same with you.
No. More of the stuff about his name comes up later.
Okay. We jump back to what would be the end of 289 as we were just at the end of 290, chapter-wise. We cut to the gang traversing the labyrinth at his Yami's soul. They aren't having the best of luck through this puzzle, as to be expected, and Taya comments that time is standing still there. There's some funny bits with Joey that the anime adds Tristan in to make him feel included. Taya suggests that they follow Yugi as he's the closest with Yami, in which Yugi agrees, but he also says he hasn't sensed Yami since he left the puzzle. He calls out to Pharaoh, but Pharaoh does not hear as we cut back to him. Pharaoh is pondering the forgotten memories of these new characters and what they meant to him in his previous life. As he is pondering, Mahad approaches Pharaoh and suggests that he should not be out in the open after today, so they retire into the palace when suddenly we're introduced to Mana, who looks super familiar. She says she wanted to see her oldest friend, the Pharaoh, who she hasn't seen in forever, but Mahad responds that it's only been one day. I don't know if this is the same kind of banter that they do in the sub, but this is kind of what they do in the dub. And it's a little out of order, too. Pharaoh is starting to recollect her as they explain their backstory of being childhood friends. After some fun banter between the three of them and shenanigans from Mana, we cut to Bakura apparently eating an onion.
Yep, just eating a whole ass onion. Chomping it like an apple.
I thought it was an apple, but I don't know. He's plotting to get the Millennium Ring. The next day, we see Mahad and the Royal Guard search for Bakura. His ring ports to a man up on the hill, and Mahad vows to do what he can to protect the Pharaoh. Mahad meets with Isis, and they talk about how their items are not working properly since Bakura arrived. Isis tries to look again and actually sees a vision of great evil and sees Mahad within the vision. We cut to the throne where Mahad informs the Pharaoh's court about upping his security on the former Pharaoh's tomb. Seto scolds Mahad for his previous failures, but Pharaoh shuts it down and puts his trust in Mahad. As he leaves, Mana begs to go with Mahad, but Simon holds her back and reveals with inner monologue that he has sealed some power away, and if it was released, he'd be the strongest of anyone in the Pharaoh's court. Just a little tidbit on that, Simon actually doesn't know about it in the manga, and it is Mana who reveals it and says when he became a priest and got the Millennium Ring, he put some of that power away, so, it didn't get, go wild. Isis stops Mahad as he's going to guard the tomb and tries to warn him of his future, but he won't hear of it and tells her to protect the Pharaoh. Mahad recollects back to a time when he, Mana, and the Pharaoh were children, and he had to save the Pharaoh from a venomous snake that kind of came out of a tree, only to be bit by it. Pharaoh starts sucking at the poison, much to Mahad's objection, but Pharaoh reminds him that they are friends. Like the show is, like the theme of the show, and Mahad would do the same thing. Mahad can tell he's being followed when he goes to the place where his power has been placed from long ago. He uses the ring to summon that power. Bakura thinks he has him cornered, but the royal guards that were with Mahad cause a rock slide to keep Bakura's men out of the I don't know if I want to call it tomb, cave. What would you call that?
I mean, it's
some sort of entrance, cavern.
I'm gonna call it tomb because they said he would raided the Pharaoh's tomb, so I guess it's like the long lead up to the tomb, because they try to keep them things pretty secret, I guess. Not that it helped him last night.
Either way, the royal guards use the rock slide to seal off that entrance, so Bakura's men are kept out, and Bakura's trapped in with Mahad. Mahad says he's been waiting for Bakura and says that he's ready for a duel as the episode ends.
He says it's time to duel next episode.
Literally. He's like, next episode I'll do it.
Yeah, that's why I said the joke.
It gets very jumpy aroundy.
Jump around.
For sure.
Jump around.
Like Mana comes out later as Mahad's leaving for the tomb. She doesn't come out earlier. But it is not bad that they did that. They also, what was it? There was another thing that they did that I was kind of surprised at. They skip over some stuff that maybe they'll go over in the next couple episodes where they're practicing dueling, and also there's stuff about the gang having a real role to play in this they haven't revealed yet in the anime, at least from as far as I know.